President Trump gave Volodymyr Zelensky the boot from the White House after their explosive argument in front of the world, TMZ has confirmed. White House sources tell TMZ that President Trump asked his Ukrainian counterpart to leave after the two butted heads live on international television in the Oval Office on Friday. The dramatic fallout occurred in front of a global audience, setting the stage for what many are calling one of the most contentious diplomatic meetings in recent history. Tension in the room was palpable from the start, as the two leaders exchanged curt pleasantries before diving straight into discussions about the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war. According to insiders, what was supposed to be a measured conversation quickly spiraled out of control, culminating in Trump ordering Zelensky to leave the White House premises immediately. Moments later, Fox News journalist Jackie Heinrich took to the airwaves and reported that Trump's delegation had bluntly informed Zelensky that his visit had come to an abrupt end. Heinrich stated that the atmosphere turned ice-cold as Trump grew visibly irritated with Zelensky's demeanor. The former president, known for his blunt and often confrontational style, did not take kindly to what he perceived as a lack of deference and gratitude from the Ukrainian leader. Heinrich noted that Trump felt disrespected by Zelensky's mannerisms, particularly his shrugging and eye-rolling, which Trump saw as outright dismissive. The former president was reportedly infuriated by what he perceived as a lack of appreciation for America's financial and military assistance to Ukraine, especially during its ongoing war with Russia. Trump has frequently reiterated that the United States has poured billions of dollars into supporting Ukraine, and he expected Zelensky to acknowledge that with greater humility and respect. What truly seemed to push Trump over the edge, however, was Zelensky's unwavering stance on Ukraine's position in the war. Trump, who has long expressed frustration over the ongoing conflict and its financial burden on the U.S., was hoping to negotiate a deal involving Ukraine's vast reserves of rare earth minerals. His plan, according to sources, was to leverage economic agreements to strengthen America's resource independence while simultaneously pressuring Zelensky into a peace agreement with Russia. However, Zelensky refused to budge, reiterating Ukraine's commitment to fighting until victory. That moment, the discussion took a drastic turn. What started as a firm negotiation erupted into a heated shouting match, with both leaders raising their voices and talking over each other. White House staffers and diplomatic aides reportedly watched in stunned silence as the confrontation unfolded in real time, knowing full well that any semblance of diplomacy had gone out the window. Trump, unwilling to continue the meeting under such hostile circumstances, made the unprecedented decision to dismiss Zelensky from the White House. Following the abrupt end to their disastrous sit-down, Trump took to his Truth Social platform to air his grievances. In a post dripping with his signature bluntness, Trump declared that Zelensky was not ready for peace, and that he would only be welcome back at the White House when he had a serious plan to negotiate an end to the war. This statement sent shockwaves through the political and diplomatic community, as it marked a dramatic shift in Trump's stance toward Ukraine. While Trump has often been critical of U.S. involvement in the war, outright dismissing a key U.S. ally from the White House was an extreme and highly controversial move. Not long after Trump's post, Zelensky responded via his own platform X, formerly Twitter, in a measured and diplomatic tone. In a clear attempt to salvage the situation, he expressed gratitude for the support of the United States, singling out POTUS, Congress, and the American people. His carefully worded statement made no mention of Trump or the confrontation, signaling an attempt to maintain a working relationship with Washington despite the setback. This dramatic fallout comes just a week after Trump made headlines for calling Zelensky a dictator and controversially blaming Ukraine for provoking the war with Russia. These remarks drew widespread criticism, particularly given that this week marks the 3-year anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Trump's comments have reignited debates over his foreign policy approach and have raised questions about how he would handle U.S.-Ukraine relations should he return to the presidency in 2025. Adding another layer of awkwardness to the situation, Heinrich also reported that Trump and Zelensky were originally scheduled to have lunch together after their meeting. However, in the aftermath of their verbal battle, that plan was scrapped entirely. Instead, in a bizarre twist, the White House press corps ended up eating the meal that had been prepared for the two leaders. This unusual turn of events added an almost surreal touch to an already extraordinary day in Washington politics. As news of the confrontation spread, reactions poured in from all corners of the political spectrum. Some of Trump's staunchest supporters praised his decision to stand firm, arguing that the United States has given more than enough to Ukraine and that it's time for Zelensky to seek peace rather than continue to rely on American aid. Others, however, condemned Trump's behavior as reckless and damaging to international relations, warning that such hostility could weaken Ukraine's position on the global stage and embolden Russia. Meanwhile, the Biden administration has yet to officially comment on the incident, though sources indicate that White House officials are closely monitoring the situation. With Ukraine's ongoing war efforts hanging in the balance and U.S. support being a crucial lifeline, the diplomatic fallout from this incident could have far-reaching consequences. In the coming days, all eyes will be on Zelensky's next moves. Will he attempt to mend fences with Trump and keep lines of communication open? Or will this dramatic rupture mark a turning point in U.S.-Ukraine relations? One thing is certain, this explosive encounter has added yet another layer of unpredictability to an already complex geopolitical landscape. As the world watches the situation unfold, experts are weighing in on the broader implications. Analysts note that Trump's abrupt dismissal of Zelensky signals a shift in U.S. foreign policy should he return to power. His emphasis on securing economic benefits over military aid indicates a transactional approach to diplomacy, which could redefine America's role in global conflicts. For Ukraine, the stakes are incredibly high as a shift in U.S. support could alter the course of the war. Further complicating matters, European leaders are now scrambling to assess the fallout of this diplomatic clash. Given Ukraine's heavy reliance on Western support, some fear that Trump's stance might encourage other nations to reconsider their commitments. European Union officials have reportedly reached out to Zelensky in private conversations, reassuring him that their support remains unwavering despite the latest incident. The international community remains divided on the best course of action regarding the war. While some leaders advocate for continued military backing for Ukraine, others, inspired by Trump's position, are pushing for a re-evaluation of aid. Within the U.S., political figures are using the incident to reinforce their own positions on foreign policy, with some Democrats criticizing Trump for alienating an ally, while Republicans argue that his tough stance is necessary to push for negotiations. This diplomatic standoff has also sparked debates among military experts about the future of U.S. involvement in Ukraine. Some argue that Trump's move could serve as a wake-up call for Kyiv, forcing Zelensky to consider diplomatic resolutions more seriously. Others worry that it may embolden Russia, seeing it as a sign of weakening Western unity. Kremlin, for its part, has remained relatively silent, but insiders suggest that Russian officials are closely monitoring the situation, looking for potential opportunities. With tensions still running high, the next few weeks will be critical in determining the trajectory of U.S.-Ukraine relations. Whether this clash will result in lasting damage or become just another chapter in an already turbulent history remains to be seen. However, one thing is undeniable. This explosive confrontation has cemented itself as a defining moment in modern international diplomacy.